Now we on. There we go. Got Cody on the hill behind an umbrella to keep everything chill. But I want to say thank you. We're back here. This is the second Sunday we're back, but we're outside today, which obviously everyone can see. So take this time real quick. If you have your phones, cut the silence on or just cut them off, either one, but we don't want any interruptions there. We're going to look at Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 10, and keep in mind the word joy. Now I want you to understand where we are now in this pandemic and where we are with social unrest. Joy is a word that's hard to come by these days and time. But here in Nehemiah, and if you're in your study time the day of tomorrow, look back in chapters 1 and 2, and you'll see the distress that Nehemiah was under. Distress meaning that he was having a hard time in his life and where his life was at that time and the surroundings. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look around and see all the trouble that's on. Me personally, I've quit watching the news. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of hearing it. I've just upped my prayer time. Not nowhere near where it needs to be, but it's way ahead of what it used to be. So here in Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 10, then he said unto them, go your way, eat the fat, drink the sweet, and send portions unto them for whom nothing is prepared, for this day is holy unto your Lord. Neither be ye sorry, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. Now I want you to remember something right here, and you can jot it down in your notes or you can jot it down in your margin, that God is a personal relationship God. You, he says here, at the very start, then he said unto them. He was very direct, he was very to the point. Now, back to chapter 1 and 2. Here they had come under a siege and they were carried captive. And the report came to Nehemiah, and he asked, how's the homeland? How's the people? Tell me about it. He said, look, they're in bad shape. They're tore down spiritually. They're in bondage. The walls are burnt. The gates are down. It's just terrible. Now, let me tell you this, and I can honestly say this without being hocus pocus. Look around the last few months, the last 90 days to 100 days, and look at all the disarray and all of the destruction and all the things that are going on. And I've shared this, and I don't mind saying it on live and here with you all. It's a sad day in the United States of America when you can get an abortion and you can get drunk, but you can't go to church. Now let me say that again. It's a sad day in America when you can get an abortion and get drunk, but you can't go to church. So thank God that our president and our governor have eased those restrictions, because bottom line, with all this pandemic going on, we just need to have smart hygiene, which we should be doing it anyhow. We shouldn't have to have the government to tell us to wash our hands, don't be coughing on everybody, and do the right necessary things. But listen to this. When the enemy gets an inch, he takes a mile. When the enemy gets a mile, he'll take 10 miles, and so forth and so on. So all the trouble was announced to Nehemiah there in chapter 1 and chapter 2. Notice here, if you will get your studying down, that he found favor with the government. Now I can remember back in 2015 and 2016 when our President of the United States was in the running, and he was also doing the campaign thing, that all the trouble that came against him. And there's some things about him that's not right. But let me share this with you, and I'll stand on this. It's a crying shame that the Christians in the United States of America don't have anybody that will stand up for you and I and march that march out front of us. Along comes our president. Here, this king was not popular, but God used him to take care of his people, his place, and his things, okay? So all the turmoil that was going on there, and he said unto them, go your way. You need to underline that and put parentheses about it, because let me tell you something, just because there's been a pandemic, just because there is continuing to be trouble and all this social unrest, it is not for you and I to back up and do nothing. A few years ago, I was studying the 6th chapter of Judges, and Gideon, they were under siege. The Midianites had them for 7 years, and they would only come attack when the harvest came, and the plentiful, bountiful harvest was there. Here they come, and they would just pilfer and plunder it, and then they would leave. They would let them put in all the work. They reap all the rewards. But one day I was studying this, And it says there in chapter 6 that that Gideon was down in the wine press threshing wheat. He was doing what he had to do under the circumstances. And please understand something. I think it's chapter 46 of Isaiah, he says, be still. That be still does not mean quit. Our governor, a month or so ago, came back and apologized about the non-essential. He had to clear that up. Our president came back a few weeks ago and said that churches, he declared them essential. I got news for you. Listen to this real close. From Genesis to Revelation, each and every one of us, all walks of life, all skin colors, all belief are essential in God's kingdom. There's no this compartment and that compartment and this department and that department. It's all essential to God. So he says, go. Go your way. That meant go about your business. When this thing first started, cutting a few yards, got to watching, traffic was good. I mean, traffic wasn't non-existent. It was hard. And more people came out. More and more traffic came out. More and more people showed up. Let me tell you something. This world was not created to sit down. All the way back in Genesis chapter 3, God told man, you keep by the sweat of your brow, you're going to till the ground. That's not something you stop. That's essential.